Hi, readers. Welcome to Goddess Garden Book Chat. This is a special deep dive. I always like to spotlight narrators since we focus mainly on audiobooks, and that's what we're going to do today. We're going to have a great conversation. So, welcome to the garden. I'm your host, 11 Goddess, and today we're stepping into the eerie, bone chilling world of horror narration, which is no easy feat. If you're into audiobooks, a narrator is something that can make or break what the overall feel of the book should be. Now, I am truly excited to talk about a person who created something that is haunting. And she is so talented, and I am so excited to have that voice in this space. We're going to talk about Kate Mulgrew. Now, I don't know if a lot of you know her as Kate Mulgrew, or maybe some of you know her as Captain Janeway. She was Star Trek Voyager's captain. But I've known this actress and have followed her career, both large and small roles, since she was on Ryan's Hope back in 75, because I was a big soap opera head. So I hear her special way of speaking and it draws me in. And this was no different. So I was so excited when I saw it. I honestly think 50-50. I picked this particular book, Nosferatu, because of her being the narrator. And when I got to the end, well, we'll get there. Let me not get ahead of myself. Today, we're going to unpack all of this and what makes her narration of this particular tale unsettling. How does her distinctive voice shift the tone of the book? I definitely want to talk about that. And most importantly, does she make Nosferatu even scarier than it already was? I'm going to be having a conversation. I've recruited one of my chat squad members to come in, and we're going to get into a great in depth conversation of one of the most powerful voices in narration, and that is Kate Mulgrew. So let's get into it.
Now, if we're talking about voices with presence, we have to talk about Kate Mulgrew, so I'm glad to be here for this. Her narration in Nosferatu? Absolutely chilling. She's not just reading a horror novel, she's commanding it. Her voice has this sharp, eerie elegance that makes the story feel even more sinister. So let's break this down. What is it about Kate Mulgrew that makes Nosferatu even creepier than it already is?
I think that's a great start. One of the things that I've always enjoyed when I've listened to a Kate Mulgrew performance visually, because I didn't expect that she was narrating anything, just happened upon it. But when I've seen her, I've always liked that commanding, elegant way that she speaks, no matter what the role is. She's so genuine and believable in a very calming way. You feel like trust is a given once you get into a exchange with her. There's just something about the way that she delivers. Now, you put that in the horror genre, and you want to feel safe while you're being led down the most terrifying pathways that this story has to offer. I thought it was so interesting because in her delivery, she allows herself to become these characters that she's voicing, but it's still that elegant calm in a very terrifying way, because this is a very terrifying story that really sells it.
Thanks for that. But it wasn't really my first question. I just got ahead of myself. Tell me about how the narrator's commanding the darkness moves this tale. Specifically, Kate Mulgrew has a voice that commands attention, whether she's playing a starship captain, a prison boss, or the narrator of Nos 4A2. Her style is distinct, authoritative, and haunting. Did her performance amplify the psychological horror, making it more terrifying than just reading the book? Did her presence change the way you experience the story?
I wouldn't say that I knew enough going in that it changed the story, but it was so impactful to have that type of narration that's both calming and seductive yet dangerous, something that you know is designed to lure you in. I don't know that I've read another horror novel. I've read a couple, but I don't know that I've read another horror novel where I felt like, even as a reader, this sultry way in delivery of this most horrible entity is acceptable. You feel the danger in an almost paralytic way. You want something to happen, but you're a reader. You can't just jump into this story and make something happen, or tap the heroine on her shoulder and scream, "Look over there," or "Go this way." These are things that were pulled out of me, which made it an extremely haunting experience.
All right, I'll suppress my temptation for three-part questions. Let me ask about the power of distinctive storytelling. Joe Hill's writing is vivid, unsettling, and deeply layered. Some narrators blend into a story, while others become an inseparable part of it. Would Nosferatu have been as immersive with a different narrator? Or did Kate Mulgrew own the eerie, slow burn horror in a way that made it unforgettable?
I had to think about this by separating Joe Hill's book from the way it was delivered. When I heard of Nosferatu, when I saw the book and I saw the way it was spelled, it didn't dawn on me right away that this wasn't the Nosferatu, the vampire, the historic Nosferatu from the operas or the stage plays. I actually thought that's what I was getting, some sort of vampire story. What I got was way darker. And because of the way that Kate Mulgrew inhabited this space, the way she became the terror that was Mr. Manx, the way she depicted the people that this entity was terrorizing, it got so overwhelming that I'm not even going to front. I haven't finished the book. The book scares the stew out of me. I, I got to the point where I think I was almost three-quarters of the way done, and I just had to take a step back because there was so much going on, and it was pulling me in, and her narration was just so deep and rich and vivid. Talk about world building. So yeah, I guess the best way to answer that question is, had he not chosen Kate Mulgrew to do this, I don't know who else could have done it justice. I can't even think of another narrator outside of the experience that I had.
My final question is about the eerie elegance of the tale. Horror narration can be tricky. Too much emotion, and it's over the top. Too little, and it falls flat. Mulgrew is known for delivering a blend of sophistication and menace. Was her delivery spine-chilling or subtly sinister? Was there a moment where her narration alone sent chills down your spine?
I don't know if you, the listener, are familiar with Joe Hill's Nosferatu. If you're not, and you're of the mind that a good horror read is something you can get through from beginning to end, because I'm a Dean Koontz fan. His thriller writing and his horror writing don't really freak me out the way Joe Hill did. But this book has layers. If you're going to venture into this, know that it's like a lullaby. And for me, the hardest part is you get to this point in the story where everything is at stake. And it just feels so chillingly impossible to look for a maybe happily ever after. That's never going to happen. But maybe, just maybe, these people are going to come out whole from this experience. But the way that the entity moves, the way the entity controls its environment, is so spine tingling. It is a very excellent horror story as horror stories go. I highly recommend it. And I want to wrap up this deep dive talking about the way that this narration sold it. I think it was a absolute excellent idea. Absolutely excellent idea to use Kate Mulgrew. I would love for her to continue to inhabit sci-fi or cyberpunk stories and use her beautiful, rich voice to bring some characters to life. I hope it doesn't end here. But if it does, we have this gem. Take advantage. Now, there are many more narrators to come because as you know, we have so many books we've reviewed, and there's so many great narrators to talk about, and we're going to get to them. But I just wanted to stop and take a moment to give a huge thanks to Kate Mulgrew for being a part of the literary community. And for whoever made that possible, kudos to you. Now we're signing off here. Please subscribe, like, let's have a conversation. Tell me about the narrators that make your journeys worthwhile. We all have our favorites if you're into audiobooks. There's one narrator that will literally sell a book to you long before you ever care about, is this going to be great or is it not going to be great? That you get so in tune to some of these voices, you know it's going to be a good time. So I'd love to hear from you. And we are going to continue these deep dives with narrators, so stay tuned for that. Until next time, friends, stay tuned for our next Goddess Garden book review. And as always, protect your intellect, stay safe, and I'll see you next time.